lien discharge.
No set.
Yeah.
How many's on here so far?
Richard and Tim Cowan.
Richard and Tim. Okay, we'll bring the meeting to order 7:03. Approve the minutes for January 5th, 2023. Selectmen meetings, January 11th, 2023, Selectmen's workshop. I make a motion that we accept the approved minutes for both. All three meetings, two meetings.
Well, I have a question about the January 5th minutes on number 5, the ACO report. I'm assuming that the word ready was actually the word reach under number 5. They cannot ready this ACO. I'm assuming that was reach.
Kennel
It
inspections.
says, Leanne contacted the ACO and stated that she will contact the kennel. Is that stated that she being the ACO? Is that correct? Contacted the ACO and stated that she will contact the kennel.
Leanne contacted the ACO and she stated that she will contact the kennel owners.
Okay, but she being the ACO.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, just making sure. Good. I have another question too. I mean, I guess it could be addressed when we talk about the beach policy, but I'm just wondering about guests may use the beach without residents if the resident purchases a guest pass for $5 per day or $10 per week. Maximum is 1 week. Does that mean that the maximum a person can have friends go to the beach in the course of the summer is 1 week, or just 1 week per permit? Or per
You
guest
guys
pass?
said
1 week.
one week.
So guest pass.
Yeah.
Okay, just,
And go back and get another one.
well, it's kind of what I thought, but I was just hoping for clarification.
I can have that. Want me to add that in?
It might not be a bad idea because,
Pass.
because anytime you leave a loophole, somebody's gonna call you.
well,
Well, this isn't the policy.
I know, but, yeah. Okay, anyway,
have a second
so I
on
will
that?
second on both of them.
Yeah, all in favor,
That's your job.
all in favor?
It's just one thing.
I wrote the changes on there, but that's all I can do right now.
Yeah.
And my pen just ran out. We have a spare pen anywhere?
Way up.
Oh, great. So, can you believe it? Oh, thank you so much. Dear God. Thank you so much. That's very helpful.
There you go.
Okay, and we approve warrant 14, Payroll warrants of January 7, 23 and January 18th, 23.
I move for you approval.
You have a second? I
You
second
can
it.
second
All in favor? RSU 10 report. Nothing. Richard on there. You got anything to say? No?
Always startles me because nobody recalls.
Okay, no.
Then suddenly,
Road report. I don't think there's really anything out there for road. What do we-
so Richard hasn't got anything to say to us about the school board?
No,
Huh, okay.
There's one complaint.
let's see that.
I talked to
You
him.
muted me. There, now can you hear me?
Yeah,
I unmuted myself and then somebody muted me.
You were noisy.
The school board met on January 9th, which was after your last meeting. But it seems like I remember reporting what they did during some meeting or other. In any case, they decided on the new school name, which as I recall it is Mountain Valley Community School.
Hmm.
That had been a big issue. And the only other issue that went on that night was there was a well-respected teacher that asked for a sabbatical. And they went back and forth, or difference between a sabbatical and a leave of absence. And they ended up voting a leave of absence because a sabbatical keeps paying him half his salary. And they weren't that sure about for sure he was coming back or not. He was headed for Hawaii, where he said he had a teaching job for this coming year.
Hmm.
And it seems like I've reported this before, but it wasn't.
No, you froze. His computer froze.
yeah, that's good.
He is the one who said that he was perfectly happy with the service and didn't want broadband.
I think he's back, but he's not saying anything.
Well, maybe that was it.
Just for the road report, all we had was one complaint here.
And no, Leanne, you said you spoke to them about that rock?
Yeah, I spoke to him today, he said he was gonna go check it out.
You get a pretty good sized one.
Yeah, rock bowls. No small matter to move it. I'm sure they rolled it wherever it is,
Mhm.
so.
Yep, and just move it, yes. Constable report. Nothing, I guess. CEO,
We do see those, but although there's not much going on.
year-to-date building permits, 32. Year-to-date plumbing permits, 25.
So building permits are down by quite a bit, but the plumbing permits are
Just a
almost
couple.
the same as last year. No complaints.
People still building.
Yeah, and I guess he looks like he is keeping an eye on that Goodwin project, and I'm glad to see that.
Yep,
Yeah.
ACO report.
Some of the kennel owners have been into, well, one of them licensed their kennel, so she is doing the inspections.
Good. How many kennels do we have in town?
Well, one person has 3 licenses, but
One
2,
person has
3,
3 kennel
I think there's
licenses?
5. Yeah, she has so many dogs, only good for 10 dogs.
Damn, that is a lot of dogs. She has 3 licenses and the licenses are good for 10 dogs, so she might have 20, better than 20 dogs in any case. Wow.
Hmm.
But there are other kennels besides that.
There's 4 or 5, I think there's 5.
Your planning board report.
I don't think I received the note.
Nope.
Last, no.
Hmm. Nothing. Ordinance committee,
Well, tell us about it. You were there, right?
yeah, they met last night. And
You did?
Yep.
Good, so it wasn't good.
the
Well,
spray,
Megan was on the committee.
what's that?
Not everyone can make it every time, but yes, we had a.
That's right, he was on it. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, it was the messy yard. Thing that they went over,
And the community standards.
yeah, and we basically tabled that until someone actually gets a petition, and has a bunch of signatures on it to actually bring it forward. That's where that was.
Can I ask a question about that? So if the select board asks the ordinance committee to work up an ordinance, the ordinance committee can say, no, actually, we're gonna have a petition before we're gonna look at that.
That's what them and the chairman came up with, so.
I'm just checking, because that, seems to me that in the past, I've actually I got real feelings about this whole community standards ordinance myself, but, I guess
Do you have to have so many signatures to bring it up to an ordinance committee? To
if,
make it as an ordinance?
if a group of concerned citizens wants to push an issue, they can do that, and it's 10% of the voters who voted in the last gubernatorial election can, you can take a petition. If you get that many signatures, however many that might be, then you can put a petition, you can ask the, you can have a petition to the
Select board.
select board. And usually what it is to put it on a warrant for town meeting. But I guess I always thought if the select board determined that a certain ordinance shall be drafted by the ordinance committee, then the select board would say, we want you to do this, and that would be their job.
But there was no guidance on what do we got, I guess what they were thinking is, it's not about tall lawns, is it about yard sales, is it about too many vehicles? What are people complaining about that they want a messy yard? What are they even going for, I guess, they no guidance and they didn't know where to really go.
And we don't have the minutes from last night, am I right?
Not yet,
I don't know.
no.
Who is this?
Bonnie has,
Bonnie has them.
so,
She may not have, if it was only last night, she may
It
not
was
have.
just last night.
So,
well, that's basically, we're not saying nothing will be done. They just want it done in steps, so that everything is gonna come out.
So then a proposed stuff and then it will go up, that's not what we meant by messy yard. So.
like I said, I've got feelings about the whole concept myself. But, yes, I always thought,
Leanne,
I think Lenny reported that she looked into it and it was messy yard ordinances were mainly for like associations.
Right, but the whole idea was that it wasn't about messy yards, it was about certain community standards for health and safety and so forth. That was my
Well, I
understanding.
think Kathy had suggested a junkyard and then you changed it to messy yard. When it was first, the
Well-
list was created.
Well, I mean, the Harlow case shows that we already have a format for dealing with people who are actually having junkyards. And I know that the state has ordinances for automobile graveyards, salvage and for people, salvage and recycling, for people who are collecting white goods.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So we did have a junkyard ordinance at one point, and it was repealed because the state standard was basically
As good as what we thinking, right?
absolutely, that's how it was.
So you can see the confusion for the committee. In that they didn't really know where they were going with that. Were they going more towards people have more than 3 vehicles on their yard and it's messy?
Mhm.
Do they have bulky waste? And so they divided it up and said that we're gonna wait for
Probably a little bit of
Bulky.
everything.
for the bulky waste committee to meet because. This committee, the ordinance committee is talking about setting limitations on when people can put their roadside. Bulky waste out and recycling. So they were, they honestly worked we worked really hard last night.
Our last night's meeting was.
I was sorry I couldn't be there. I had car troubles.
So what the orders means,
Happens to
waiting
us
for the
to
bulky waste committee to talk with Alan. Archibald next Wednesday. And ask him a bunch of
So
questions.
he's coming next Wednesday?
20th at 6 o'clock.
You see, I thought I'd missed out because I thought he was supposed to have been here last.
He was sick.
Well, we sick, so we used to schedule it.
Oh, okay. So so we're actually having 2 ordinance committee.
I'm sorry. what?
Oh, that's waste committee, yeah, waste committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and we just want to meet, when we get the bulk waste ironed out, we want to make it easier for Archibald's and easier for the town people to be able to know what they put out and how to put it out, so that it's easier for everyone around and it saves money. And it's, when you have it constructed and disciplined, structured, and it does save money.
And then the ordinance committee will take what that committee says, wrap it up in a pretty bow with. They don't want people putting stuff out in January for June's pickup.
We want to have it 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Prior for the pickup, that way other towns aren't coming into our town and dropping off stuff.
Which happens.
They're gonna try to limit what they can.
And
Also, they mentioned,
2 times.
yeah. said that
Spray.
they had 2 times a year,
And-
but
But the way I understand it was, there's no extra cost really, except for a little bit of wages for our chief's men, but it's still by the ton. You know? So, and I've been hearing,
But the amount of tonnage that we spend is tremendous. Absolutely
but
tremendous.
the other towns not come in.
by limiting when they can drop off.
That might help. That might help. It can't hurt.
So, and then the next thing. we
I
brought
think
up-
It's not hard for managers to come up with a vast amount all by itself.
We're also gonna check in the tires, because we're starting to see tires all over town. People just ain't painting, just throwing them off the side of the road. You know, the town was cleaned up pretty good there for a while. And so I'm gonna check and see about that some more.
Look at tire usage, whether we can recycle them and end up making money or not paying any money. But we're just looking into it, you're on it.
Yeah, yeah, great. Yeah, that would be good if that has
Well,
changed.
commercial of they get a pile of tires every year, and they don't charge, except for unless you're a business. You just go and drop the tires off, and it's okay. see you later.
And he's doing it some way, so maybe that's something we can do.
Well, it's something that'd be something to find out about because I remember how this worked. Before I was on the select board, I actually ran the transfer station. And one of the things I I learned about was what was actually happening with tires and what they, as it happened, I can't remember the name of the outfit, but they would come and get the tires and they would take them up to, Norwich Walk and they chip them, then they use it to cap their garbage, they use it to cap into line underneath their garbage piles.
Then they would chip them and bring them into the mill and burn them. Because they have the scrubbers in the stacks, so they would. Oh, we're doing that too.
There you go.
But.
In the spray there, Bonnie's
yeah,
got someone,
Yeah, there's no spray that brought it up, and we're gonna bring in a couple of big guys from the state. From CMP and from the DEP.
Yeah.
Or is it from this?
DEP, I think.
DEP or the Board of Pesticides. Control.
Yeah, and I've got a assignment to talk to other towns and see how they handle no spray, just so we have some other guidance, so.
So, we're gonna get there, something to see the best way we can go, because, when you got animals raising babies, I can be concerned,
Oh, she's not the only beekeeper in town.
right, I know I'm making this so on.
Yeah.
So, but, if we can meet somebody halfway, and it don't cost the town, that's the way to go, right?
And still meet the goal.
And still meet the goal, yeah,
But we don't even know what the goal guidelines are yet, so that's why
that's why we're bringing
we're getting this big guns.
Okay. Good.
It was a good meeting, very productive.
Okay, the fire warden report. None. It's a good thing, I guess. Treasurer report. Nothing here. Yeah, sorry.
Spent almost 2 days looking for $1 that the bank
I
made
saw
a
the
mistake.
Did you end up getting found?
No, the bank made a mistake on the payroll
Oh, so
check.
After you spent all that
Yeah.
time,
After I blamed the payroll company.
Oh, wait a minute, no, I don't know if I had that because I caught it before, but can I find it now? There we go.
Ian and I have a question regarding all the treasurer stuff. Is everything for the cost here for the floor? The new floor in the town office? I know we'd expressed it was concerned, well, how many hours were we charged and how much did that really cost? And everything's in here, it looks pretty standard. There's like only a couple of small, like
Yeah,
steels when you have.
We
to
bought
move something.
two extra boxes of Steve. And there were some door guards he purchased.
Yeah, I saw something
Yeah.
about a door guard.
I don't know how much is,
And he billed the town for 35 hours,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's under it.
right?
Under
A lot of work
1,000,
went into
right?
that. We spent 2 weekends on my floor. My brother and I was his front
Did you-
labor. It's a
did
lot
you
of
look at
work.
this and
It's
something?
not as big as your floor.
Go silent. Oh, no.
And mine was not
See,
square.
I didn't-
You know,
initial-
it was a kit house from Grossman's. Mine was not square. So I was just curious.
Plus I had him putting up shelves, that's part of his payroll and
Yeah.
other
Awesome.
stuff
That's
that
part
I
of
could
his
think
job
of while he
anyway.
was
So,
there.
yeah. Good. Good thing.
Well, I appreciated having a copy of this in the select board packet, so I could look at it every time.
Yeah, it all come out good.
It's so welcoming.
Bet you're getting a lot of people commenting on it.
Yeah. But like Lorraine came in to do a project and we had stuff
Took over.
counter on every chair on, there's no
Bank
counter.
reconciliation, December 2022.
Well, there you go. Guess you don't have a lot of counter leaders anymore.
Cemetery committee report request.
Yeah, I saw something.
In addition.
Yeah, I'm not sure I completely understood if there was some scribbling on there. You guys see two requests for $3,500 and $4,000. Correct?
Pass that on to see.
The top one, just look at the highlighted ones for now. The other two are for town meeting.
Highlighted.
Yeah, I don't have it. Oh, I know it's hard to see with these lights. It's you can increase that.
I can see the height.
This one,
but I no, I don't know. I don't know. I think there's, yeah. I think it is.
Thank you.
Then this is signed by you and somebody else.
Who's the second signature, Ken, on the proposal?
I couldn't read this at all.
Second signature is on one liaison, I mean,
Yes.
that's mine. That's my signature. That's mine, that's everything fine.
Oh,
Because
printed
you
and
should have
signed.
made my signature.
Oh, okay.
We thought it
Well,
was a totally different name.
yeah, boy,
thought it was a doc.
I'll say,
Mhm.
So
I never would have guessed.
that's my signature.
Okay.
There was a picture of that too.
We want to read that out loud, Kathy, so that people at home. And
What's the cemetery committee?
cemetery committee met on Saturday morning.
On Lorraine's, the first two don't pertain to cemetery committee.
No.
Yeah.
The motion was made, voted won and passed by a majority that any individual regardless of their residence that has a cemetery plot or family member that has a plot in the town of Hartford to be able to be a member of the cemetery committee. Also voted on and passed that the cemetery committee have a minimum of 5 members. It should be noted that these proposed changes only pertain to the cemetery committee and no other committee in the town of Hartford.
So they'd like to change the administrative ordinance part to include that.
Where's that?
And that, so that would actually be for town meeting as well.
Right here.
No, this would have to go to town meeting.
Right,
In order to
right.
make a change to the
Right.
committees,
That's
that would have to go to town meeting. And I
Right.
don't see
If-
why.
If you go to accept that. change
Right,
And
well-
present it to the,
Well, clearly, the select board would have to send it to town meeting in order for it to.
so do you accept that? Do you want to change the administrative ordinance? So we have to work on it.
Well, I
don't have no
actually-
problem.
I actually don't have a problem with it. I think it's probably,
It makes
you know,
sense.
it actually does make sense to me that if somebody has,
There's so much work to be done.
there you go.
Yeah, I
There you
wouldn't have
go.
no problem
But
with it.
No, my understanding always was that every committee had 5 members, no? Is this not
But
true?
this says a minimum of 5 members.
No maximum.
Oh, and no maximum. Okay. Well, it probably should state and no maximum,
You can change.
or, I mean, I don't think you can have dozens of people regardless, so.
We all in favor?
Can
of-
you-
We had 9 at the meeting.
There were 9 people who showed up at the
last
meeting.
night.
Wow.
I-
And all of these 9 people wish to be members of the committee?
Yes.
Yeah. Huh, great. You know, I gotta say, you know, this is actually heartwarming to me. You know, because
So participating members are great to have, and we have more members that want to participate.
because
than group.
we did not always have a cemetery committee. It used to be up to the select board. And every year at town meetings, we'd have people standing up and being mad because nothing had been done with this on cemeteries.
We have plenty to do.
Yes.
They submitted a story in the newsletter with pictures on some of the activities they've already been doing, and so many of the stones, which wasn't listed in the story, but
I don't know,
every cemetery has a to-do list, which they'll be working on, and
did Lorraine submit and make the minutes to the meeting?
Not
I
yet.
just- I don't know if this is. There, there's this, and I don't think that qualifies as minutes, no,
No,
oh, this is just,
those were other motions. The last 2 were other motions that we made at Saturday's meeting.
okay, and then, so the first 2 lines are some of Lorraine's requests.
not
Correct.
some of
The
the
committee. Oh, yes,
last
Yeah,
year.
Lorraine.
So she wants 3,500 for the veterans
Yeah.
monument,
That's not cemetery committee, that's something different.
That's-
Right.
So,
absolutely, that's Lorraine.
I believe there's a cemetery committee ordinance.
no. there's-
Yeah.
There's an
And
administrative,
if there is, and in order to change that, then it does have to be voted on at town meeting.
But we know. It's-
Right, except,
you.
yeah, thanks for that. And it says here, I'll make a motion to purchase a cemetery tripod. Who is I in this case?
Lorraine,
That would be Lorraine.
and I have particulars on the items I've got quotes for. That, and it should say up to 4,000.
Hmm. B2 biological solution, huh? Oh, no. That's something, is that something that kills the moss growing on the?
Lichen and, yeah.
It-
It's like a miracle, like magical research.
Yeah, I can show you some before and after. pictures.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And how clean these model, such a model, but I work on granite.
Yeah, nice. Well, you know that if it's special for that, it ought to be safe enough too, because you know, you can scrub that off too, but you can do an awful lot of damage.
Well, there is a cleaning method that has to be
Mold,
followed.
algae,
and that's
mildew,
what we
like
had at our workshop.
pollutants.
Yeah. So Ken, this motion, it says, I'll make a motion to purchase cemetery tripod. The committee wants to purchase it with the funds that the
There
town
there
are available for the
that are
Well,
available.
for cemetery.
The last I knew, we had a cemetery reserve fund, and there may be that kind of money in the reserve fund.
There is 8,000 available in reserve fund. In Maple Grove Cemetery, I talked to every trustee after our meeting that we had in the Oxford Cemetery Committee on last Saturday. Maple Grove would donate 500 towards the purchase of these items.
Oh, nice.
Or
They have
at
access
least
to-
the
Well,
Understanding that we could use the tripod at Maple Grove
sure,
Cemetery.
sure. I don't see why not. I mean, what's it gonna sit around the rest of
That
the time?
tripod is critical for us to be able
Really?
to take some of it, so.
Mhm.
that,
Absolutely. No, I can picture that.
And like I say, it's up to, need to purchase crushed gravel and other items that I don't have on there.
Right. Well, so this again would be something, an article for town meeting.
Mhm.
Wouldn't necessarily
no.
No,
We don't
have a
know necessarily
reserve.
because we have the reserve fund, we don't have to make a
Oh, okay.
request to town
You can
meeting.
decide anytime.
Okay, well, I propose we allow the purchase of, cemetery tripod and,
need
and
accessories.
other needed items, at a cost of up to $4,000 from the cemetery reserve fund.
I second it. All in favor?
There you go.
Good.
And as far as Paula Dobbins goes, I see your request and I understand. I contacted her after our last meeting and she said she was still interested, but it seems to me that it's possible that with some changes in her life that are going on right now, that she may have rethought that. I think it would be good for you to talk with her because, you know, I think she.
Never been in contact with her. We've had over 5 events since I became a member of the committee. She hasn't been to any of them. She responded to one email that I remember when she correcting that she wasn't able to attend one of our meetings because she was working. But we've had some like Saturday workshops, and
Right.
meetings on Saturday. And we've had Sunday workshops, so didn't have got any response.
There you go.
Like I said, I had other people that want to join the committee.
Right, no, I hear what you're saying.
And
I hear what you're saying.
the ordinance does take 3 meetings, we've got 5 events. The committee voted on.
Did Mrs. Parsons contact Paula the other day at the meeting? So I was thinking she was trying to reach her of some sort.
No, we tried last select board meeting to
Yeah.
call Paula to see if. we
Yeah, I know, I sent you a I sent
Since
you
we
a
had a meeting, I didn't get a response, and I don't know if you did, the Saturday meeting. She didn't attend. After,
Well, you've been very accommodating because I know Rusty can't attend during regular work week, and so the Saturday meeting worked out well, but you've moved them all around so that everyone could attend something.
So people that do have jobs
Mhm.
can attend. The next one is on a Saturday in June at 8 o'clock in the morning here. But we have events that are on weekends, you know, and I don't expect everyone to attend all the time, because attend none.
But no
When we have
response
people
on
that are
email.
interested
Yeah.
Attending.
Yeah.
Participate.
yeah,
We have a waiting list. And if the situation doesn't improve, or
Her term's at the end of June anyway, so,
runs out,
and if that ordinance is approved. Then she
Right.
still be
it's
in
pretty
the-
much irrelevant if the
Right.
ordinance
Right,
approves the
sure.
town meeting.
Right,
sure.
so,
You know, I always worry about offending somebody if they say they want to do something. I don't like to kick them off, but no, you know, well within your
We can
right
call
as
her.
chairman to,
Call her.
you know, I guess I'm thinking that maybe the things, I don't have a telephone number for her, I don't believe.
just call and ask her.
Maybe Ken can give me his number and she can call him, but. I don't know.
Fight it to the next
I mean,
meeting.
happy to, you know,
Oh, she's been invited to every meeting.
Yeah. Well.
You know, I understand you don't want to offend, you don't want to offend people that want to be on. as
yeah,
well.
no, I hear you.
We do have under current ordinance, someone that wants to be on.
Right. And because we're
Yes.
limited right now as to how many people can be on the committee. Then, yeah, I see that. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I will not block if the board wants, if the board wants to take an action. And deem her to have resigned from the committee, I'm not gonna block it.
Well, cemetery committee, the committee can reach out to Paula, voice to voice, one way or another, knock on her door and
Mhm.
chat with her so that if she wants to stay and be active and tell her about some of the events, if that's not gonna work for her, we certainly want.
The committee,
Maybe more
the
events.
cemetery committee, when Paula joined it was, down to a skeleton crew. And I don't know when the last time was that she attended or what the cemetery committee was up to at that point, or how active she ever was. So. I don't know.
Well, the ordinance that was just approved has in there how to deal with a member that doesn't show up, and they're doing the right thing, and they're requesting that it should be,
We're following the ordinance.
Right.
so you guys just want to ignore that ordinance?
You should not say that I would know, no such, thing. I just said that I'm not gonna block it if the board wants to move to, deem her to have resigned.
I think that if it can try to get it
One more change.
voice to voice somehow, and just know that she's got the communication. Because we certainly, she could be, her lifestyle could change, and next year she might want to be on it, and we would love to. You guys would love to have her, right?
Well, I understand that, change it, then it should she can.
Yeah.
But right now, we would immediately,
Yeah, we need a lot of workers.
It says right here,
and Joe was ready to.
Yeah.
Boots on the ground.
committee shall meet
Yes.
monthly as requested by the select board or deemed necessary by the committee chair. A member who fails to attend 3 consecutive meetings of the respective committee shall be deemed to have submitted the resignation, and the chair shall so inform the select board, who may appoint a replacement or may decline to accept the resignation.
If she's not answering your phone call or whatever, you send her a letter, that's legal. Ask her to resign, and that's normally what they do.
Well, that's the thing is because of the way the ordinance is written, she does not have to actually submit a resignation. She can be deemed to have resigned. And then somebody else could be appointed to take the place.
Right, you should send her a letter saying you got a temporary reason that we need you to resign. We just leave it and we're done with it.
Well, like I said, a person doesn't have to resign. If they just don't show up, then they will be deemed to have been resigned. Usually people who don't show up to meetings and don't show up to meetings and don't show up to meetings aren't going to respond to that letter either. I mean, I'm not talking about Paula, and I'm not even necessarily talking.
Give her that letter to tell her she's no longer, to do it.
We could send her a letter deeming that she's, that the select board.
Well, there
deemed
you
her
go.
resigned.
Right.
And then it's official, but if you send her a letter deeming that she's resigned, then we can appoint a guy that is submitted an application.
Well, yeah, sure.
To be on.
And frankly, I
Anything
think
you
that-
don't want to mess.
and my sense is that if somebody has been deemed to have been resigned, then that's that. They should get a letter telling them that they are no longer on the committee, but that, I would say that there's the time.
Wednesday is the best thing to do, yeah.
Well, like I said, if as a board, we deem that she has in fact submitted her resignation as, as requested by the committee chair, then she has resigned. And she should probably get a letter letting her know that, that she's been replaced.
So since the town meeting, when this ordinance was passed, you've had 5, 6 meetings and activities, and has she responded or attended any of them?
Responded to one that she would not be able to attend, and that was the only response that we got, and we've emailed her every time. And never attended.
Never responded since, right?
Right.
I mean, like I said, I think she's probably fairly caught up. So I don't, what can I say? I'm not that worried about hard feelings, because frankly, I think she's got her hands full. And, I think that perhaps that the letter, when sent, should,
Thanking her for serving.
well, thank her
could-
for this, and but also, suggest that it's been requested that we, expand the cemetery committee at the next town meeting. And that she would be welcome to join again at that time.
Very welcome to join again in the future.
Could always send her a follow-up email if that goes through, letting her know that the ordinance has changed. And that she may rejoin whenever she would like to.
And hopefully other people will as well. Just a footnote on
Okay,
some news that we did discuss, as well as, what we have done in the past and what we plan on doing in the future. Our goals is to,
Yep.
the stones that might repair them. We also had submitted to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs in Washington a replacement stone for a Civil War veteran. And I did that in December. And I was shocked that I got a response yesterday that they will be shipping a stone, a replacement stone to me.
They're gonna ship a stone?
A
Dang.
replacement stone for Alvin Robinson, who was in the Civil War, the 6,000. And we're gonna be putting a new stone on him, hopefully March if the ground thaws out, and I should be receiving that stone. within a few
Dang,
weeks.
I mean,
Good.
yeah, it thaws out, yeah.
So Cindy and I took a ride today because I was rather enthused that this was a trial run for me. Trying to replace all the veterans that don't have stones in his case. And then we found another veteran of War of 1812 in the Thompson Cemetery today. That doesn't have a stone, so in the process now of getting someone to did for you. So we can submit a request for.
Great
stone
work.
For that veteran. And I'm
Good.
sure there's others, but now that the trial went through on Alvin Robinson, and he died in 1863.
well,
Virginia, he's buried in Maple Grove, and we'll be putting military stone on his grave. Hopefully we can do that for
Dang.
this other gentleman, Deacon Oak Thompson, who died in 1829 and served in the War of 1812.
Huh,
good.
dang. Great work.
Thank you.
Okay,
So
good.
So in any case, I think we still have an issue here is, does the board deem, Paula to have resigned? Shall we, have a letter sent to her notifying her of this? And if that being the case, assuming that that's how the board feels about it, shall we, appoint Mr. Leclerc, is it? Leclerc. Mr. Leclerc to take the place so that we have a full-time clerical. These guys are obviously hot to trot and working. So I think that,
Yep.
my feeling is, given that we shouldn't drag our feet.
Right,
I mean, we only meet every couple of weeks and she's hasn't shown any interest. I mean, it's not like, she said to me, she said yes, but she also in the same, in the same short message said, yeah, I'm moving my mother in with me. And I actually saw her the other day and stopped when we saw her at the driveway. And she's, yeah, and then some. Mother moved in last Saturday and, there's some transition involved. And a lot of work. And not that much. So.
so we agree to deem Paula from the committee, send her out a letter. And
Thank you for her service. I'd like to think the letter is cordial rather than curt.
explaining about things are gonna probably maybe change at the town meeting and she
If
can,
there's we could tell her that there's a
Rejoin.
proposal to expand the size of the cemetery committee. And that she'd be welcome to rejoin. Who knows?
and
Springtime, things may have changed a lot.
can we appoint Joel right now or wait till the end of the meeting? Down below,
We could wait till appointments.
okay,
Maybe-
we all in favor of deeming
Okay.
Paula and
Well,
writing out a letter?
We need a motion. Was that your motion? What you just
I
said?
make a motion that we deem Paula
To have resigned.
to have resigned from the cemetery committee and send her out a letter. I'll second it. All in favor?
Wait, who seconded?
I did.
You made the
You
motion.
made the
No.
motion.
You gonna second it?
I'll second it.
Yeah, all right, all in favor? You guys are too slow.
Double trouble. Is that it?
And do you want to vote on changing the ordinance committee? And I can prepare that for the next
We
meeting?
did, didn't we?
No.
We didn't
No.
vote on it, but I moved that we accept this recommendation on changing the cemetery committee, the ordinance, the administrative ordinance regarding the cemetery committee.
Yeah, I second it. All in favor? Good.
Thank you for your support.
How does the cemetery ordinance read? The
Hmm.
select board may be authorized by the ordinance to put on as many or as few people as they want to. I think you need to read that ordinance and see if it specifies a certain number of people or if it's open to the select board.
It is not open, and would you like to have it read, or would you like to come in and get a copy sometime?
No, I just want to know if you have read it and reviewed it and know.
Yes, we have read it and reviewed it. It was adopted at our last town meeting. Maybe you don't remember that part.
Okay, so you don't have that option of.
We don't have that
just-
option. We don't have
Okay.
that option, and the other option we don't have is to have alternates to the cemetery.
Okay, thank you.
Just a footnote, I'm only asking for this, we're only asking for cemetery committee,
Good,
and that would alleviate the request for even alternates at that point.
sure,
By just not limiting.
sure. Well,
Right.
does the select board might want to consider making sure that there are alternates on other committees.
Other committees, yes.
Well, we need to start talking about it right now. Or soon.
Well, I know, and that's why I just said that. Because we may want to consider having alternates for other committees. I mean, committees should have alternates. And I would say that was, as much good work as the ordinance committee did on the administrative ordinance, that was a serious oversight.
Well, it's funny because you don't really understand the sideline ramifications after you rewrite this 20 times, as we did. I was taking
It's
notes.
very easy to let something like that slip by you.
So do you three want that on the next agenda, or do you want to talk about it now? So I can do that at the same time.
Why don't we have it for our next
Okay.
agenda? That's my thinking. Anyway.
Mhm.
Hi, I joined the meeting late. Where are you in the agenda?
Calendar reminders.
Oh. You zipped right along.
Mhm.
Trying.
Okay, Waste Committee, January 25th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Huh?
It's gonna happen.
I hope so.
Yes, and if we do want to have, I think Lou told Leanne, I hope, that we want to have it on Zoom, especially because Alan Archibald from Archie's is coming to answer questions.
Mm-hmm.
So exciting.
Yeah, we came up with a long list of questions, and that's what we're doing on the 25th.
Okay.
The ordinance committee last night was not on Zoom, was it?
Was what?
No. Ordinance committee.
Oh,
wasn't.
no. No.
Huh.
Was there a report from the ordinance committee?
Yes.
There was.
Bonnie has it.
No, Bonnie has the minutes.
Minutes.
There was a report, there was an oral report earlier.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
There you go, she meant. Okay, budget request and surveys due February 1st, 2023.
So can I have the 3 surveys from you by February 1st?
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm actually just sending myself a reminder about that.
And I have an addition to the calendar, the CEBE meeting or workshop, February 1st, 7 p.m.
Yep, good. Anything else?
There we
Just
go.
now.
You got it in there, and you got it, you got a date.
Okay, unfinished business. Junkyard license update. Mr. Howell.
Indeed.
He stopped in, I guess, this
He-
afternoon, Mr. Harlow,
Mr. Harlow.
and he showed Leanne that he had moved the bus. It was up there beside the road.
He said he wasn't going to, but he did.
He
He
moved the
showed
bus.
me in that he did by
Well, it-
giving a picture.
He drove by with the bus on the ramp truck
Oh,
and he
okay.
stopped to make sure we saw it.
Oh, okay. Well, I was about to say, how do you stop?
I
by
do
and
have a
show-
picture if you want to see it.
I don't know where he took it.
I'll take your word for it.
I don't know where he,
Gravel pit, but,
I don't know where he
Probably-
took it,
He
but
probably drug it over to his land and turned.
oh, there was no spots in turn. Let's take a picture today.
Oh, he could.
I looked
easily
by-
find room for something.
I slowed down, and looked at, on 219, but I couldn't see it there. And then when I rode up to his place earlier, I looked at the area by the bridge on Town Farm Road, and I couldn't see it there either, so I don't know where he dumped it. But anyways, and the other thing, we asked him to remove, he's got it about halfway,
Maybe he drug it down to Gillis.
but I don't know if he's gonna be able to remove that.
What
It's-
about all the stuff he's been hauling in and leaving in the road right next to people's wells?
I don't know what he's gonna do with that. He's got one,
It's still there?
it's got one truck there loaded with, I don't know, looks like,
Parts.
yeah, parts, furnace, ductwork, and I don't know what else it has in there. That's still parked there.
Okay, so I guess my question is, at our last meeting, we had a report from Susan, who spoke with an MMA attorney, suggesting that we contact our attorney. And then we get a cease and desist letter.
Yep.
And I'm wondering where we're at with that.
I've been talking to the town attorney and he's working on it. I haven't heard from him in about a week. I had to send minutes and all the old applications, everything I had, letters.
So it's just still waiting on him, what he wants to say back. Mm,
And I agree, we gave him 3 things or 4 things he had to move, but unfortunately. He without a permit, he's still been moving stuff to that road, which is not the junkyard. And I was hoping when you drove by today, Kathy, that road going in was gonna be clear and fixed and. Things were not gonna be near people's wells, because that's not the junkyard. But it sounds like there's still stuff there. So, I mean, yes, he could move the 4 things or 5 things we asked him to move, and it was. But you can't just do that and then put other stuff out there and go, well, you didn't ask me to move that. Well, that wasn't there when we said you need to move these things. And that's my concern, that we're gonna be continuing to on his back every second, which I feel badly for us, badly for the neighbors, and he just needs to follow the rules. If you just get him to follow the rules, that'd be great.
So,
He said Scott seemed to tell him, which was in the minutes, that logging equipment was okay.
It has to be usable logging equipment, can't just be like a big piece of machinery with
Piece
no
of-
engine in it. It has to be,
Yeah,
right, it has to be usable, that's why they say, and farming equipment, because you could be using that for,
but usable equipment, not junk.
right, it's gonna have an engine in it, or radiator, or
No,
tires.
or even hydraulic. I mean, it's gotta have all that stuff in order to be usable.
yeah, the one I see is not usable. He's got it halfway there.
So really, we're just gonna have to wait until we hear from the attorney.
Yeah, probably.
I was really wondering.
Which is
Okay.
hopefully soon. He'll get back to us with some sort of letter and a cease and desist until he moves that stuff.
What's that?
Mine was,
Yeah,
but you couldn't take an aerial picture. And then you'll take another one, another week, another one. That way you'll see what happens.
Yeah,
Anyone have a drone?
Oh,
I was just gonna say that, if they were growing it perfect.
You have a drone?
No.
Oh,
I have a question.
go ahead,
Well, actually, Natasha has a question.
Natasha. Go ahead.
Oh, I just had a random question. When you have like a committee and then you have committee members, and then you have a committee meeting, can only the committee members go to the committee, or can like anybody go to the committee?
Anybody can go to a
Anybody.
committee meeting.
Oh, so like with the cemetery committee, I've kind of missed it, but did they say what they want to like up how many members are allowed to be on the committee or something?
Would you speak slowly? I'm not quite catching what you're saying.
Sorry, when they were talking about the cemetery committee, did they say they want more people to be allowed to be on the committee?
On the committee, anybody can show up, but only committee members have a say.
So,
Anybody
but
can
anybody could
and
show up.
anybody can volunteer to help with the projects of the cemetery committee.
Oh, that's what I was wondering. Okay, thank you.
You want to join?
Are there any committee meetings or planning board meetings that the public is not allowed to attend?
No,
No, only executive session, meeting.
Right.
Brenda has her hand up.
go ahead, Brenda.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, back to the junkyard situation. I don't know if you've been by recently, but that big truck there is right back where it's been there for like 2 months now. And that's within 300 feet of my well for sure. So, and it doesn't seem like he's moving it anytime soon. Do we know if he's actually trying to get things where he can get permitted, or is he not even entertaining that? Because visibly, it looks like he just is letting everything go.
The only thing we've seen that he has moved that we asked him so far was he moved the bus that's coming.
Yeah, I
back.
saw he did that this afternoon because
Yeah.
I was out walking the dogs and
Yeah, he moved that. And the other piece of equipment, he's only got it like halfway.
oh, the harvester thing.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
That's like
Yeah.
halfway. And we haven't really seen him to ask him about that big truck with all the parts and stuff, junk he's got in the back of it, what he plans on doing with that. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know whether he planned on moving that after, if he got his permit, or what, that could be the deal too.
Right. Well, he could probably drive that right over to Route 4 too.
Well, if you can drive it, does it have to be in the junkyard?
Well,
No,
that truck ran because I watched him park it there, and that was before right around Thanksgiving, probably a week before
yeah,
Thanksgiving.
really,
And
if it runs, he-
I'm pretty sure you sent me a picture.
oh yeah, that's the one. But he is bringing in cars. I mean, I've seen him bringing in multiple cars on flatbeds, like junk cars, not cars that maybe he's got to work on it to get it going. I mean, like, looks like it hit a telephone pole or it's missing the whole front end, or it don't have tires on it. So nothing comes out, stuff just goes in. I just
Yeah,
want to
well,
make you guys aware.
right now, we are waiting on to hear back from the lawyer.
Okay. Well, hopefully persistence gets it done.
Let's hope so.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
I know he came in today and I think he thinks he's in compliance because he moved the bus. He said the truck runs, and Scott told him that equipment is exempt from the recycling.
Well, the truck with all the junk in it, that's got all the scraps in it that Kathy was just talking about, that's like sitting right on the right of way. Now, I don't know how he can leave it just where it's at. I mean, but
The other one's.
but
on
the stuff,
the-
but the other stuff is still that's within 300 feet of Joni's well too. The big, all the skidders and the trucks that don't run and campers, and there's a lot over there.
Right.
He broke a
So
hydraulic hose and left that piece of equipment in the road. Is he saying he's not gonna move it now? But we asked him, that was one of the pieces of equipment we asked him to move. Because it
Yeah,
doesn't, it's not an
so
usable piece of forestry or logging equipment or farm equipment. It's a dead piece of equipment with no inner workings, right, Kathy?
Mhm.
We determined.
We're not talking about the truck with the junk. on it.
No,
No.
we're talking about another, when he
vehicle.
broke his hydraulic.
Looks like an old crane.
hoses, When,
Yeah, and you know, every time a hydraulic hose blows, there's an awful lot of spilling.
but he was using his, whatever that is, a loader or excavator, whatever it was, he backhoe. To move that other piece of equipment, that was one of the ones we asked him to move. So I'm not sure why Scott would say, oh, that's a piece of whatever, it still has to be usable. Otherwise, it's just
Right.
the metal.
So
junk.
he has to be more clear when he tells people.
Mm.
things.
But Kathy, didn't we give him a list?
Mhm.
Well, that particular harvester doesn't have a track on it
Mhm.
and it's missing lots of things. I mean, I'm not a farmer, but I mean, if I was, I feel like it would have to have more parts to use that piece of equipment. But that whole section over there where that harvester is, there's probably 6 or 7 box trucks. There's 4 skidders, there's
We
a couple
looked into-
campers.
We looked into the box trucks and them, we are told that them are okay as long as they run and there's no broken windshields and that sort of thing. So I guess them there are okay because they run. But
Well, that's why this guy is gonna, in theory, he's working without a permit because he hasn't his permit renewed, but he has had an automobile recycling permit. And, you have to register every single dog unless you have a kennel license. And you can only have 3 vehicles, unregistered vehicles on your property unless you have a junkyard license, essentially. Junkyard or automobile recycling or et cetera.
yeah,
He had, which has expired, and that's what we're talking about, is that this expired permit has not been renewed because he has not complied with some of the select board requirements.
yeah.
You said the box trucks are exempt because they run. So that pickup truck runs. So that must be exempt too.
Oh, you mean
But that doesn't mean you can park them all over the place.
that big
He
truck?
owns the right of way.
Mhm.
It's a right.
But so don't I.
We just heard something from online.
What's that, Brenda?
So don't I. I mean, half that right away, 250 feet is what I believe. But so doesn't Joan Welch because she's a property owner on that same
So is
right
it,
away as well.
He's not a property.
he owns it, well, yeah.
What Ken say?
He's not property.
The baby's mother. Is the truck parked after Jones? Is it in the way?
Before.
No, it's before. It's,
Before Jones.
yeah. It's like right across from where my driveway dumps out onto the driveway, out onto the right of way, rather. But that, I mean, if he could just move that stuff out back, out behind that fence, I mean, it wouldn't be such a big deal. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Yeah.
It's just,
if he could just
Junkyard is a
move that
junkyard.
stuff, then people would stop hassling him.
Right, that's what
yeah.
we're to do.
Yeah. No, Ken has got a good point, though. He does not own that property. I
So
don't
it's
know.
not his right of way. Got it. It's like-
I'm just, just saying, and, yeah, it occurs to me in a case like this, it'd be good to have a CEO who was right on it, and frankly, years ago, I remember the town owning a camera so that assessing pictures could be taken. And it occurs to me, the town might want to own a drone so that something like that could be kept an eye on. They're cheap enough nowadays.
You could buy it.
Hell, yeah.
Then do you have to be licensed?
No.
No, you sure don't. I actually had somebody come into my dooryard the other day who needed to check out a property that is like another mile from my home. And I said, well, you can't drive down there. And he said, not a problem. And he said, I'm just here to take a drone picture. And he he said, you don't mind if I park here, do you? And he sent it over there, got pictures of it.
5 miles away.
And that's right, and it's right, and it was kind of great because when you get down, it's like, so you're gonna take some pictures of my place, so that so I can see what my place looks like, and you can send me pictures of my place. You know, so, this time of year, it doesn't look so freaking hot, but nonetheless, yeah, it was kind of cool. That's just one of these.
No, me neither.
They're pretty good. You can just put a recall on it, on my back. And
Spying on anybody.
It could be,
What's the mileage on that? Can I send a message over to Kathy's house from my house?
Yeah.
Only if it's a public meeting.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, sorry, Kathy. Oh, no friends of Lou's house.
Okay, so we'll wait and see what the lawyer has to say on that. With him. Unless he talks to one of us. Meanwhile. The beach policy revised.
So I put one in your packet and then I typed up another one with the fees in it, because I didn't know if the fee schedule would ever get approved. So this is the same thing, only with the fees in it.
okay, sure. I guess I'd like to suggest that that be amended to say, 1 week per
Yeah.
pass,
Yeah,
as I mentioned before when we were talking about the minutes. Just so that it's a little more clear, because somebody's gonna call us on it.
yeah.
I've been getting a lot of feedback. I don't know about you guys, but I've been getting a lot of feedback about number C.
Yes.
I've been getting a lot of complaints
Well, and
saying about guests should be with the resident.
it seems to me that when we had our workshop, we determined that, that somebody, if somebody's staying at your home and you're away at work, you should be able to let them go to the beach so they have something to do while you're at work. And I remember
Yeah, I remember
we
that.
talked about that at Sun Lake.
I remember that.
So I guess when people contact you about that, that's what you should explain.
Well, you didn't vote on anything. You're voting tonight.
Right, so, but you're getting complaints about it, even though it's not a policy yet, but, I mean, doesn't seem to me that hard to explain to folks.
As long as that's really what's happening, and friends from Buckfield don't call and say, hey, I'd like to go to the beach today, can you go buy me a permit? For the day or the week or whatever, because that's not a guest, they're not staying with you. And you're not going with them, you're just giving another family from another town a pass to go to Hartford Beach.
On the other hand, if you're friends from Buckfield and they want to go to the beach and you go with them,
Then there you go.
Somebody that's going to the beach as a guest to be with the person who's marketing.
So are you suggesting, Al, are you suggesting that if I have people come and stay with me for a week, but I still have to go to work during the day, that my friends can stay at my house in Swelter rather than go to the beach while I'm at work?
That's what happened in town park.
Yeah, we already discussed it, and you don't have no control. You do any other thing, you're not gonna have no idea when these people are coming. I mean, there's a lot of other places to go through. You want to go to County Park? Let's go to County Park. When you want to go to the river, go to the river. To go You want to keep the people down off the beach, off the boardwalk, you don't want damage, don't want people there that don't belong there. You gotta leave it at, look, you need to be accompanied by our period. We discussed this, we, I don't know how many times.
I said this at the last meeting, I just was out voting.
Just what we're getting feedback on.
I can speak from experience that happens at the town attorney. That if you're not accompanied by a current resident who is the holder of that pass, you are not allowed to be there. They will ask you to leave.
No exception.
If some-
Excuse me, can you repeat what people are saying who are there?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your
Well, no,
answers,
there's an awful lot of chat going on. It'd be hard to say everything that everybody's saying. But generally speaking, I would have to say if I could sort of consolidate all of these comments with, is that people are objecting to the idea that you could buy a pass to let your guests, say if you had house guests for a week or something like that, that you should not be allowed to let your house guests go to the beach unless you are able to attend with them.
With them.
that seems rather rigid,
Oh, rigid indeed.
especially given how much people really don't follow the rules.
Well, we're hoping to change that.
We're hoping to change that.
Would make you have something to stand on. Because we know we do it each lot, we see people there that aren't. You know, don't belong there.
Sure enough. I mean, that could even prevent, state representatives from showing up at the beach and claiming that they're there as a guest.
Mhm.
And it would be responsible for the guests that if they're. Person that they're with, they leave garbage on the beach or whatever, then. Person they went with would be just as responsible as the person they brought.
Well, presumably if they went with somebody from Hartford, they wouldn't be leaving stuff. Yeah, but you know something, I think these are coming from people from away that are going there without a pass or without any relation to anybody in the town of Hartford.
Well, that's gonna have to prove.
It's kind of hard to do.
You gotta give you want somebody to police the beach, you're gonna have to give them something to go there. Not just, I got a guest at my house and they're gonna use the beach on like that.
Right, and that's why,
do
no,
what you gotta do.
not on your
Solid.
path, not on your pass. You went to the town office and got a day pass for them to be allowed to go to the beach while you were at work.
All the places goes over.
I think it really comes down to how much you want to restrict usage of the beach
Natasha's hands up.
as a select board.
Go ahead, Natasha.
Two questions. I couldn't remember. Are we allowing out of Hartford residents, people outside of Hartford to buy a season pass at all? I couldn't remember.
No.
And then also,
Yes, the swimming lessons.
Swimming lessons only.
oh, swimming lessons only. Okay. And then is there any resolution if like if a friend wants to go to the beach, say like on a day that the town office is closed, do we have any resolution for that, or do we still have to like buy a pass ahead of time? Is that what you're saying? That's only good for a week or something?
I can put the dates on the pass.
That was what was proposed at our beach workshop. We're looking at the policy now. We have not voted yet to adopt this policy.
Okay.
Stay away.
Hmm.
You'll be beating this thing for next year.
I just think that, I don't know, I kind of agree with a lot of people. I just think this would take care of. Like you going down there and they're saying, oh, I'm friends with so
When
and
you
so.
say, when you say this would take care of? What is this?
Like the problem of you going down to the beach and you ask, well, do you have a parking permit? Well, no, I'm friends with so-and-so and
So what are you
Which
saying
you
would,
can't
what
prove.
are you saying would take care of it? That which is proposed here on the paper? Or?
yes,
So,
I
so-
think it would take care of if the guest to be with the resident.
Okay, so not what is proposed here. But that in fact, you could not be a guest at the beach unless the resident is actually with you.
Right,
I agree.
Okay. He said, that's not how I remember it from last week.
No, it's not,
Wasn't
because
it
I was
just
the only
last
one who
week?
said, who wanted.
Wasn't it just last week? Seems it wasn't long ago.
Responsible for the person who's active.
mm-hmm,
That doesn't take care of the problem of residents bringing people without a guest pass with out of state or out of town vehicles.
Probably don't need one.
But they can't all ride in one car every time, as was stated. Yeah, but if their car has out-of-state plates and they don't have a guest pass, then they could still get ticketed or get a letter of reprimand or towed for that
People
matter.
need to do a little pre-planning, and if they can't bring their two families to the beach because they just arrived on a whim, then they can go to the Canton
No.
Public Beach or Renton's Pond or all the open.
Well,
areas.
We had somebody here the other night who said, well, you know, I'd like to be able to go with my kids, and sometimes my son would like to bring his friend, but we don't have enough car seats in order to
Have enough room in the car.
accommodate that, so we'd have to take two vehicles, and that other vehicle would not have a Hartford permit.
Unless you went to town hall.
yeah, think ahead.
No, but right now, what I'm hearing is, actually, no, we can't go to the town hall and get it.
No,
Is that what I'm hearing?
No,
Well,
residents
let's go
can go
to-
get a pass, and they're going with them, that kid and their family would be going with the resident, and they'd get a guest pass for that other car.
Ah, okay,
And they're going with the resident to the beach.
but they can't go down there unless they're with
The resident,
someone
Right,
who is.
the Hartford resident is responsible for the
And this also would mean that if somebody has an Airbnb, or something like that, if people can just stuff it out.
they'll have to go to another body of water. Or the owner of the Airbnb, the property owner, can bring them to the beach. Which probably won't happen.
Use it now.
Tasha's hand is still up or up again?
get another
Again.
question.
Yeah, I mean, I know you can't accommodate every single request, but just so I make my voice heard, I guess. I just think there should be something in there, say a Sunday afternoon turns out way hotter than expected. Me and a friend want to go down to the beach. I feel like there should be something so we can legally go down there. We're not doing anything wrong. We're simply showing up at the beach, just going swimming. Rather than, okay, well, we can't go to Hartford because it's
Sounds
illegal.
to me like you're not
We
gonna
have to go to Canton Lake.
be in Hartford anymore.
What's
She
that?
said, friend,
Well, not if they're gonna take an extra car.
You can get a guest pass.
you take
Well,
extra.
that's what I'm saying. If it's just like a random Sunday afternoon or something. I just think there should be something in there for that.
We gotta think ahead.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. What I mean is that you can't just spontaneously go unless the town office is open.
Take her car and bring everybody in.
That's right.
Lenny's hand is up.
Go ahead, Lenny.
Well, as the person who was chair of the ordinance committee last year when we worked on the beach ordinance, our goal wasn't to prevent people from going to the beach or, cost people a lot of money. It was to have accountability. And, if the unfortunate situation arises that the town office isn't open and you spontaneously want to go to the beach, as Susan said, Canton Lake is open. Is Worthley Pond open now?
Worthley
Was
Pond,
then, anyway, or you could go over to
You can go to the river.
Labrador Pond. I mean, there are options. We have to have some regulations. And people have to follow them. You know, I'm a 60s brat. We don't like rules, but you got to follow some rules.
I think we're
But
trying
it-
to tighten up so that we've got some standardized rules and more hours of our constable to check the beach. And if after a year things aren't working, after the summer, we can then adjust them, but I think we gotta start somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. No,
bylaws.
I was just saying that the goal, you were on the ordinance committee, Susan. Our goal wasn't, let's prevent as many people as possible from going to the beach and see how many cars we can tow. You know, it gets interpreted that way, but that wasn't it. And I don't think that's what you're all about either on the board. The thing that the constable needs to do is be there when it's really hot. That's when the people came from out of town with their dogs running loose and it got ugly. And when it's really hot is when, you know, there's no parking. So hopefully the constable can go when it's extremely hot.
Is there a time when the beach is not open, like it's open like?
Dawn to dusk. That's
dawn?
when it's open.
Labor Day, Memorial Day to Labor Day.
I just meant 5 day.
So you say, are you saying, Leanne, that people are not allowed to walk down there?
That's what Elizabeth said.
Uh, Yeah, I'm not clear that people aren't allowed to walk down there on the off season.
go skinny
Most people
dipping.
most people don't swim that late in the season, but.
We can till we
As
get-
I said before, I don't like the car stickers at all. I think you should have a notarized piece of paper with giving a person a permit, and whoever's patrolling the beach goes up to any group that's there, and somebody in that group is required to show ID and the notarized permit. And forget this dumb stickers on the cars altogether. That don't amount to crap.
What did you say, Sue?
I just said that we need to get a handle on all the other towns going to the beach and having people permit, read notices that they don't have their permit. When we talked about getting some new signage, because ours is all faded and mishmash down there, and setting some standards, including possibly towing a car after they've been warned and haven't paid.
Well,
whatever.
I believe we talked about, that somebody would get a warning. And then they would get a citation, which is essentially a ticket, like as you cough up the door. And, if they, and, you know, a third time around, they would be towed away.
Actually,
I don't know if we got any further, information from this, local fellow with a ramp truck who has, access to
Place
an
to pull
impound
it.
yard.
I haven't asked him any questions. Do you want me to, do you want him to come here or?
Um,
There was time last meeting, or it was mentioned last meeting about hiring a person to monitor the beach all summer.
We
Like a
have
summer
person that
or
we've
something.
added hours to, Richard.
he's called the constable.
This is a letter I started for a warning letter, if you want to look at it. I didn't make copies.
Sure.
Well, for the other people.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Notice that. Once we start enforcing the rules and putting notices, I think that you'll see some changes. And if we ever have to tow a car, then you're gonna definitely see that person as an example, and people will be a little shaken, but.
It's good.
I don't know how much money you guys want to put into this, but You had someone down there. A person could stop in and get a permit right there.
But we don't have, I mean, that would be, they'd have to be there all day,
No.
just standing there
Have to
issuing
change,
a permit.
have to
And
change the ordinance because it says they must be purchased at the time.
yes. And because, have you ever been to the beach?
Not once.
So, and I hadn't either, when it first came up and I was on the ordinance committee with Lenny, but. Where the parking area is, which isn't even a parking lot, there's a long walk down to the beach. So it's not like you can have someone stand up here. All day by, which is Turner's got a gated beach, so you come in that door and that lady's with a clipboard right there. And when she's gone, that gate is locked. That's not ever not manned. So, but we don't have a gated beach. It's forest and marsh before you get to the beach. And like I said, it's a long, beautiful scenic boardwalk before you can get there. So,
Question about this, did we?
What's
did
really
we
hard
say
to-
that
you'd have some way up there.
somewhere here, did we say that we would,
Me too.
issue citations before we tow, or would we warn and then tow?
At the last meeting, you said warning letter, citation.
Okay,
and then
because
tow.
this just says if your vehicle's parked here in the future, it will be towed.
Okay.
So I guess
I
I'm
didn't
wondering,
put citation in there.
which is, there's nothing about citations, and I guess I'm wondering, how that fits.
Yep, I can add that in. It's just a draft that I.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm
I
just,
haven't read it yet.
yeah, sure, sorry.
Thank you so much.
That's good work, good work. But that's why you made a draft, so that we could make comments, right?
What do you do about the people with dogs?
We're not supposed to.
Go ahead.
I'm
Leanne.
actually working with someone on, on an estimate to get new buoys that actually cover more area that will prevent anything from going near the swimmers.
I mean, like, they could be out of state and, on the beach to use it, I'm saying.
Oh, hell yeah.
I've
Hey, nice
act-
beach, let's pull up.
I've
That's why
actually,
on Blue Guys, they have buoys for it, not just swimming area.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. No, right now we just have a relatively small swimming area, but are these buoys gonna go all the way from the Pine Shores, chain link fence all the way to the, railroad trestle?
that would be nice, but it's very expensive.
I should
So it would
imagine,
be up to you and the budget committee.
but, people land boats down on the end towards the railroad trestle all the time, from what my understanding.
I have my hand up.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that actually what Richard said makes a lot of sense. Because people can come through the woods, people can come by boat. And, doesn't Turner have an ID card?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what you're talking about, right, Richard? That instead of fooling around with the cars, if they don't have an ID in the group,
Yes, that's what I was getting at, either an ID card or actually just a piece of paper that Leanne notarizes. And they have to have that, somebody in the group has to have that along with an ID. And now whether they're there as visitors to somebody or not, if they're there as visitors like of Lee's, then they have to have the paper with the notarization on it and Lee's ID card showing that she's giving them permission to use that permit. And that way, this business of stickers on the cars, I don't believe it's ever gonna work.
Let's Turner do it.
But
The ID, the passes.
You have a card.
The paper pass that you have to carry with you, and there's a person like Susan said, either at the gate or very often they're sitting in beach, on beach. And they walk as people come in, and as they come in, they will ask you for your pass. They don't necessarily, Turner doesn't give you a parking pass.
they see.
Sure not, sure not. On the other hand, they have somebody sitting there at the beach. Now, is this person a volunteer? Probably not. They're probably making, let's hope they're making at least $15 an hour.
But they also have a very large parking lot, which we do not have.
Right.
So if you have one person coming and they bring 20 people with them with 6 cars, and they go, well, these are my guests. We are not gonna, none of the Hartford people will be able to park there because all the parking spaces will be, until we get a parking lot done.
I mean,
we've
policy
gotta
is,
work with what
policy
we've
is
got.
policy, and policy can be changed. I mean, once we
Right,
actually do, I believe it was 6.85 acres. We have, if we had a 6.85 acre
Yeah.
parking lot, we'd have room enough for.
Bim says
plenty
right
of
now
people.
is the time to be cutting.
I have that on the agenda after, I think,
Yeah.
don't I?
So do we?
We
Yeah.
can do this.
Next.
It was
Of
pointed
course.
out,
Of
It
course,
was
if we
pointed
did what Richard suggested, there could be 25 people with that person who has. So
Well-
you still do have an issue with cars.
but well,
because-
I was just gonna mention, somebody pointed out to me the fact that that's a public road. And that you could probably have in the turnaround at the end, you could probably have a few cars there, but that road has to be open 2-lane all the way down and all the way back out to be legal. Otherwise, if somebody is parking like on the roadway, that's the same thing as parking out here in front of my house on Stetson Road, right, in 1 lane and leaving your car there. And that's absolutely illegal.
Okay, we're
which is
gonna
why
vote
having
on
those
this.
parking permits is gonna limit the amount of cars that are down there, at least until we get a
As
legitimate-
long as there's 2 lanes open around the edge of the turnaround and the cars are in the middle, then that's probably all right. But that's a public road and there has to be a lane, 2 lanes in and out, all the way down, all the way around and all the way back out. Otherwise, they're parking illegally on a public road.
I have never seen that road totally blocked in at all.
No, I never have either.
And that's due to the parking passes, because people know that other people walk by and look at the car. When people show up at the beach, there's usually Hartford residents there that are regulars, that know pretty much everybody's been on the beach. Asha's a regular there, Lane's a regular there, Elizabeth's a regular there. and Lauren's a regular there.
We've had a ton of hours to the constable, so he'll be in and out, checking those parking permits, putting the new, the new, notices on.
Elizabeth questioning people on if they belong there or not. I've seen Lenny question people. You know,
All of which goes over like a lead balloon.
Yeah. I can see it happen.
Well, no, we've had residents. But still, at least for the time being, if we start with something and start enforcing the rules.
Right.
Okay, so one of the things I'd like to point out is that we're talking about tonight is not an ordinance passed by town meeting. We already have a beach ordinance. We're talking about a beach policy that establishes some rules
Right.
that we will follow.
Vote on.
Now, a policy is something that the select board can adopt and can amend at any time. So,
Okay, we can vote on this and see how it goes.
If what we're doing here doesn't work, we do have a right, if we want to at this time, to excise the part about whether somebody has to be with their guest at all times. I mean, that could be, that's a modification that could be, please. That's a modification we could make at this point, but you know, if we adopt this policy, it's not cast in stone.
Right.
It's something that can be amended at any time.
So we can vote on this and see how it goes.
I would like to see that all guests have to go with a resident. And then once the rules are enforced and people are used to the rules, if we want to change it to,
So you want to delete the words "or without"?
yep. 'Cause that
Guest
also meets the
attendance
requirement
person,
that
business.
it's
Are you
signed.
making a motion or you just?
I'm making a motion that the guests go with a resident.
So what the motion is to delete the words from
Without.
number C is "or" and "without."
Correct.
Is that correct?
Which also meets with the Pine Shores agreement that it would be for Hartford residents only.
and their guests.
And then that's, yeah.
Right, so can you make a motion to adopt the policy with or without the fees in it?
I make a motion that we adopt this policy with that one amendment and the fees.
Remember, you have now until next spring to get this just exactly the way you want it. You don't have to vote to accept it tonight.
Is there a second?
I second it. All in favor?
Wait, now you can discuss.
Go
And Dan Larachelle has his hand up.
ahead, Dan.
Hi, I just want to understand your policy or your about to be new policy. So if a individual resident in Hartford owns several properties and so I would have to accompany them, say I have a rental, I would have to accompany them every time they decide to go to the
Yes.
Hartford Beach.
Not if they're a resident,
Rented, yeah, if they're
not
renting.
if they're living here.
Right, if it's
If-
rental
if-
property.
If it's a,
if
if it's a short-term rental, then they're not residents and therefore, yes. But if it's a
Okay,
long.
okay. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. Being a taxpayer of many properties that I would have to accompany them. It just doesn't make sense, but thanks for your answer.
We do, I'm sorry, you spoke quickly, I couldn't understand what you said.
Are they renting it? Period, all the time or just?
No, they're not going to be residents. They're going to be family. They're going to be rentals. They're going to be, cousin. Who knows? Who knows? I'm just trying to be clear as to
We
your
are no longer
decision.
allowed to send our cousins and our friends to the beach. If we're at work or something like that, we would be disallowed from doing this. Heretofore, if this policy is adopted as
We'll
proposed.
see how it goes.
Do you want to vote?
Mm,
She's the
She make a
chairman.
motion. All in favor?
Do we have? Some-
She already made a motion.
Opposed? Do you want me to make the changes before you sign it, or is written good enough, or? I can run over,
You just lined out the other,
Yeah,
one, right? That's
yeah.
it. Yeah,
And
I'm
put-
alright with signing that.
put per pat, 1 week maximum per pass for the guests.
For pass, right?
Right, the other thing is, if this is the case. May request guest passes for their guests, that would be a guest pass for their guest's car. Correct, so that their guests could also drive a car.
Mhm.
It's a sticker. So I looked online for year stickers to put on the beach stickers, and I couldn't find any that were weatherproof, so I'm having a friend who has a vinyl company make some up. I'll pay for them this year. And
What are you talking about? I'm sorry.
well, it's an annual fee, so we have to have some kind of year stickers on the. beach
Oh,
sticker.
yeah, no, I hear what you're
So-
saying.
I'll just pay for it this year and see how they work.
And so you'd have your guest pass and then you'd put the stickers on it just like you do on your license
I
plate.
guess that's the only thing I can think of to. If it's an annual fee, you gotta do something.
Well, there you go.
So we'll try that if it's okay. Vinyl
Yeah,
sticker.
sure. why
Yeah.
not?
Beach policy revised, okay, beach parking area, tree cutting. I was talking to Bim and he said if we wanted. to Do this, now is the time, go in and cut trees. And he'd be working on Church Street this summer.
So you have some.
Could use the fill from Church Street.
That's what's been said for the
Right.
last 2 or 3 times they
Yep.
worked on Church Street. And of course, we didn't have the trees cut, so it never happened.
So all we gotta do is give him the
So if
okay.
the trees are cut, then do we have to have, I mean, are you talking about having stumps removed as well so that we could put fill on top of it, or just put the fill on top of the stumps and see if they pop back up?
I would say, I've never looked the area over to see
It's a
Big trees.
It's more, not terribly big, but it's more or less wetland.
I would
That's
say
why
the
now's
best
the
way is to
time.
take the stumps up. I would think.
What did the plan say? Because it's been already been approved, right? They must say in here somewhere the details.
And do we hire someone to cut the trees or our town crew?
The last I knew, the crew had saws and all the chops and equipment.
Safe to do
Solely
that?
for the purpose of relocating the detention pond and parking area located on the unintended on the plan. Solely for the purpose of relocating the detention pond. Hmm?
Activity will not cause unreasonable erosion of soil or sediment, will not inhibit natural transfer of soil from the.
I forgot, ever since we put those energy saving bulbs up there, what can I say? It is what it is.
So looking at this plan, what part would be parking? Is it this white part?
Yes,
Over to the right.
that's correct.
Because I see on the left, it says parking area, but I didn't know what that was.
That's correct.
Okay,
Because this over here is the detention pond. Basically, it's a pond where, we run off of the pond.
I was just wondering. if that's
Seven
parking,
pond.
so I didn't know if that was.
Yeah, but that is actually private, so lot 35.
Okay,
Bim did say we could call him, but he also said he was gonna take a nap before the storm, so.
Yeah,
where would we get that?
I wouldn't pester him.
I was looking at for the storm and stuff.
I would assume that after all of the work the human's done, he would know whether there's gonna be enough fill over the top to stump or not stump, or little big rocks on the bottom and cover them.
Well, the
I think once you
reason,
get to
the
trees,
thing about
that
throwing
one-
big rocks on the bottom and covering them is they do the same thing that they do in the garden. They, every time the frost heaves, every spring, they work their way up and then you have nothing. No,
No, this is a summer.
Kind of
I
like the
don't-
Turner one, they just let the page and if rocks come up, the rocks hopefully will go down.
the rocks don't go down, they have to take down once they get to the surface.
And if you fill it in 4 or 5 feet deep, some most likely to stay.
Well, I don't know that we're gonna have enough fill for 4 or 5 feet deep either.
Well,
2 or 3 feet. Ben knows what he's doing.
Yeah, if they're easy to come up, they come up, and if not,
At least we could at least start it, get some.
right.
Yes,
Right,
yeah,
moving
a
forward.
step in the right direction.
I mean, he'll know what can come up and what not.
So, then is this something that we have to make a motion on? I make a motion that we have them to bring an authorization for his crew to cut trees, providing that they can be safe and the trees are cuttable and start moving forward. I saw them, I wasn't paying attention to them.
I mean, within the boundaries of this.
In the parking area, yeah. We had something.
I second it. Get this thing going. All in favor? You in favor of that, Liz?
Yeah.
All in favor?
I think Lou had some discussion now, no, okay.
Okay.
Good job, guys, making all kinds of decisions.
Fee scheduling hearing
Yep.
date.
If you wanna skip this, cause you put the fees in the policy and wait till like July 1st and
Yeah,
start for the new year,
okay.
it's up to you.
So I have a question about this.
What?
Ordinances, except shoreland, it's $5. If anybody wants a copy of an ordinance, it costs $5.
That's the policy that it's always been.
Okay, I guess I didn't know it. We used to have ordinances that people could just pick one up.
If someone's applying for a permit or needs an ordinance for
To see what's what.
something that they're working on, I'm trying. They're all on the website anyway.
Okay, so, okay, I didn't know. I guess I never really noticed that. And surely it's already six because it's so much bigger.
Yeah.
I see.
And this is all in a policy. I
Mhm.
didn't make any of this up.
No, I know,
Mhm.
I'm just
Or they're in the
asking, I'm just
ordinances.
asking.
But if you want to, we can wait till July 1st and then do it the right way and adopt this, have a hearing, or do it now. It's up to you.
Looks all right.
I guess I'd like to add a fee for, because we have more and more things coming up, venues and where we're gonna have catering licenses that, many of the other communities like Auburn, Lewiston, I know they're bigger than us. Norway, if somebody wants to do that, they have to go to the town, which they do now, and we give them a catering permit. But these other towns are charging like $25. I know it doesn't sound like much, but we are giving a permit to a food industry type group that is.
For
Are
then
you
make
talking about
money.
the alcohol permits? Or,
They don't need one for just food, just alcohol.
Right, for the permits that we're doing for the new locations because of the new.
huh,
I can look into it.
yeah, we're probably see how other towns are doing it, we certainly don't need to reinvent the wheel.
But like I said, this would need a hearing and everything anyway, so.
Just want a date.
Do you want to do it
We'll
now
do
or wait
it.
till July 1st and just start fresh, or?
So you thinking we should just adopt this, or are you, I guess I'm not sure. Are
You have to
saying
have
that
a
we need-
hearing.
We have to have a hearing on this.
So we'll do the hearing date. The date.
Sound like it was raining.
I mean, we've never, as
We've-
far as I know, we've never done this before, but a lot of the ordinances refer, especially new ones, refer to a
Please,
fee schedule. So if you want to wait till July 1st, we can, or we can set a hearing now.
Oh,
and do it Beforehand.
Doesn't really matter to me. What's up to you guys? Do it
well, you know,
hearing
I
date
don't,
or
I
wait?
actually think we get a great, I mean, we have a few faiths, but otherwise, we don't get a great turnout for hearings this time of year. You know, could we, wait till July, we'll get even poor turnouts, I don't know, but.
All right,
Maybe we
we'll
should
wait
go
till
to
July.
meetingless in July. There's an ordinance for you.
July. Leanne.
Plus I should go through all the ordinances again, make sure I have everything.
Excuse me, what?
Plus I should go through all the ordinances once more, make
Make
sure
sure
I
you
have
get 'em
everything
all.
on there.
Okay. Anything on open session?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
You know, I always. First of all, I would like to thank Leanne. We can actually hear her tonight. I can hear what she's saying, which is great because it's what she says is usually important. The other comment I'd make is going back to
Probably should have told you that, she'll fix it the next time.
going back to what was discussed about the ordinance committee. And I was on the ordinance committee, so I remember a little bit about this. And I think the select board directs the ordinance committee as to what they're to work on. Now, if the ordinance committee is working on an existing ordinance, they can come back to the select board and with changes, or that they can come back and say, no, that we think it's all right the way it is. If the select board asks them to create a new ordinance for something, then I think that the ordinance committee has to come up with an ordinance and present it to the select board. And then you have a situation that I remember back when we were discussing marijuana, and it was back and forth and in and out and up and down. And the ordinance committee came back to the select board and recommended no action. And so there's that kind of situation also. But I think that the ordinance committee works at the direction of the select board. And it makes a difference as to whether the select board is asking for a review of an existing ordinance or whether they're requesting a new ordinance about something. I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Leanne,
Lenny's hand is up. I don't know if it's new or old.
you got something to say, Lenny?
Yeah, I'm not sure I heard everything about you voted on the beach policy like you passed it
The beach policy did pass.
with fees,
Yes.
Yep.
with fees. And what is the fee?
$5 for a day pass, $10 for a week pass.
And $15 annually for a parking pass for residents.
That's quite a jump from $5 for a lifetime.
Yeah.
Just a comment. My other comment,
Better pay for stuff somehow.
Yep,
Well,
yep.
On top of that, I mean, it's pretty,
Al,
I
yeah,
think
no,
Al's trying to get attention.
You guys know that I want.
Lenny is passed, it's done now, so there's nothing you can do about
I
it.
didn't hear it all. Mind your own business, old man.
go ahead, Al.
You guys know that I went out to Augusta to
Yep.
the board for pesticide and herbicide control, so it was pretty amazing when I went up there. I was there for like 5 hours talking to them. And when it comes down to, when I understood what goes on in that predicament, is they're trying to figure out when they're giving license for people to spray, that they're following specific rules that this board lays out. But what amazed me was the person that was chairing, he was the chair of this board. He was a pesticide applicator, licensed, and he had a crew that was going out spraying. So, my concern with the pesticides are they're not following the lane. They just go out and spray willy-nilly without paying attention. So the gentleman that was the head of the board, I got down to talking to him at the end of the program, said, I had a beekeeper call me up and wanted me to spray his yard. And he said, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to kill his bees. But the beekeeper said to him, you could spray because bees are not flying right now, they're in a hive. So it shows me that the applicators are not looking at the directions, because a lot of them say, you can spray it this time of day, but not that time of day. And so
But if they send a crew out.
there's other things that are happening, like these people going around spraying people's yards for ticks. They're not following the boundary lines of people's yards, so they're overspraying. And then ducks actually eat the grass and it killed them. And then there's a person that went out, an applicator went out and sprayed a house that wasn't even supposed to be sprayed. And they have other ways, they're supposed to look at a picture of the house, the meter number of the house before they spray. But they, it's not very well controlled. My suggestion to the people that are going out spraying people's yards, I would, and I'm gonna bring it up to Jennifer one, the main street bee inspector. I want to see them on their bill, give them an MSDS sheet on the chemicals that they're spraying in their yard. And that will kind of tell them like, okay, if somebody sprays your yard, don't let your dog go out there and run around.
Never mind your children.
Right, the children or you, don't be walking around with beer right in your feet, but they'll just, these are major things that bother me, and not only for the bee aspect of it, because I'm a beekeeper, I'm worried about the bees that we're losing, like the bumble bees and the sweat bees and them, but.
Look at what Roundup has done to people spraying it.
Well, they're still doing it. That's the thing, is they're still doing it, they're not doing it. And, we had Central Maine Power here once, and you talk to them, they kind of cut that, you don't see Lucas running around anymore with big tanks.
No, they're actually going around and mowing underneath power lines more now.
Right, and then, so, in DOT last year, I seen them on 140, when they saw a light truck, they turned around and went the other way. But I'd like to bring both of them in again, because I want to look at them and go like, watching you.
So I think you came in later. I don't know that you heard this, but evidently the ordinance committee has invited these people to come.
Good, because I want to be here when they come. So when we did that talk, when we got them in here and we talked, they were going around with Indian tanks, instead of spraying out of the trucks, they were going around with Indian tanks, specifically targeting the plants they need. Yeah, spot spraying. You know, so when we see these guys going down the road with the hose out the window, that's Lucas. So if you think about it, CMP hires Lucas, now Lucas is responsible, not CMP. You know, so even Lenny seen them spraying in the Zinsky River. And if they want to be tricky with us, I mean, we could tag this whole town with being non-spread. I mean,
Well, that's the idea. I mean, we have asked the ordinance committee to come up with a no spray ordinance.
Against spraying, because they're gonna complain about. We gotta cut back some of the roadsides, you know, which this corner we did. In different places, they don't wanna cut the tree under the power lines, you know. But if you think about it, the power lines are so tall now, if a freaking tree hits something, we're gonna be dead.
Mhm.
I mean, they're just, and I talked to Lucas, because they're going around, turning around the power lines. You go up Tucker Road, there's a great big maple tree on Bill Tucker's whole property, that maple tree, that's not gonna take power. They won't take it out. They won't take it out, and they told me why, because it's job security. There's another road, there's another tree on Tucker Road, it's an oak tree, it's leaving over this way on the power line, so you get a heavy snow, it's gonna take the power line. There's many trees just in this area alone that might be on the opposite side of the road,
There you
but
go.
they will not take them down.
Well, that's the trouble with this state. If we could just get rid of all those pesky trees, then the power would stop going out all the time.
What they're telling me is it's job security, they're told not to take these trees down.
Day after they cut me on 140, they went through the area. Day after, we had windstorm and the tree came down and took the line out.
Right, because I mean,
Yeah.
I showed you where the trees were, and the guy said, we can't take them. And some of the trees, they don't even want to go 2 foot circle around the line. But, I haven't come in my driveway to take out the whole tree. The thing was growing right, there was a beech tree, and I didn't feel like trying to trim it around that line, so I had the guy come in and take it about. They don't fool around, I don't care if they cut a 2 foot, if they take it down to the ground, I don't want to see a 2 foot hole in this tree.
Here we gotta ask Dan who he talked to there. They got Lucas. Remember that big tall fir tree there in my lawn?
Yeah. Yeah, everything.
Dan had
remember
Lucas'
that.
tree cut that.
No,
And they never could understand how he got CMP to give them permission to do it.
Yeah.
Well, the guy was
And it was still alive.
The guy that was doing. I talked to Roe, I said, you gotta get paid by the hour, I don't care how long you sit in my driveway. Just take your lunch break, cut that tree down, I gave him 2 jars of honey. So,
They cut it,
yeah,
yeah.
So
So I don't know what Dan did.
did.
Yeah, go ahead. Dan.
but when I was cutting wood, I was up in Peru on 108. And I was cutting a nice pond, but they were right near the power lines, you know, but they were 8 feet from the lawns, and they only do 8 feet. That's all they care about. I went up to CCMP, and he came down and said that they're not in our. I said, but if you help me cut these, I will solve a lot of problems down the road, because you want to worry about the big trees landing on them. He said, all right. I said, I'll get a hold of Lucas. Lucas come right down. And I used their insurance, all in pond. They hadn't cut trees, and I pulled them all over. And when they got done, I said, thank them, and, you know.
Nice.
I bet a couple of them coming, put along the
Yeah.
way there. Well, the other thing they don't wanna do is, but they told me that my driveway went, take it down last year. They said, well, don't take it out.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Open session.
like a half hour work, the guy in a bucket truck, take that tree down versus coming up with this guy.
Okay, well, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Michael.
There's not a lot of common sense going on with these things. It's spraying.
No,
Once
We
they're
can't
gonna
get
check
past-
with them too, because when they're cutting stuff on the
We
lines
can't
and
get
not
past
shipping
open
it.
session, so
I guess we
it's
wanna
not-
know, is that something that we have to do if we say you can't spray here? How much responsibility is it of the
Well,
town?
you think about it, when we drive around the town. they
We
say
have-
it's
What's
supposed to
the
have
next?
We already- we
Okay.
already said no.
The trees are not.
Kathy,
Big enough.
go ahead.
I have a concern. I didn't hear the ordinance committee report, but I did hear that they are claiming they can't move forward on the solid waste ordinance because they're waiting for rules from our committee, the solid waste committee. We're not a rules committee, we're an educational committee. That has nothing to do with it.
I think they said they were waiting for you to meet with Archie's.
Yeah,
Are
Because
they planning to be there?
No,
Archie?
it is.
The thing is that somebody needs to straighten out this confusion. The ordinance committee, by direction of the select board, comes up with what are rules for the
No,
town.
Lou's gonna,
That's not what we're doing.
Lou's gonna try to explain.
What we're doing is.
Can't hear him.
She can't hear you.
turn that
At some
control-
point,
turn
people
that
need to attend
control-
meetings, so we don't have to repeat everything.
Go ahead.
What? Sorry for you, I'm tired.
Speak right up, my God.
Okay. Here goes. What we're doing is, we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna get them to answer all the questions. And our job is, and we've had this many conversation at our meetings, is to make the bulk. Pickup easier for both sides, for Archie's and for the residents. And then that's what an ordinance committee is waiting for, after we get everything all structured and laid out. How to make that day easier, then we pass it on to the ordinance committee. For Ben and Jeremy, me and whoever else is on
Yeah.
it. And see how that fits in. And-
That doesn't make any sense. We're getting information from Archie's to put out information only to townspeople. That doesn't have anything to do with rulemaking.
We're not making rules.
No, we're not making rules.
We're just
The
trying.
ordinance committee is,
No, we're just trying to make everything easier. Keep it simple.
that's not the job of the ordinance committee. Could you, on the select board, explain the job of the ordinance committee? Because this is a mess.
Yeah.
The ordinance committee creates town laws
Yes.
that get voted on at town meeting.
Yes,
And so the
it has
ordinance-
nothing to do with making bulky waste pickup easier. That they're not doing their job. I'm concerned about that.
The ordinance committee has already got ideas flowing from when I attended that meeting. That they want to change and limit when people can put all their roadside stuff out there. And if there's a way that Archie's wants them to sort it or make it easier, they want to put it into that ordinance. So they don't want to write an ordinance without the input from your meeting with Archie's.
Well, then they should have invited Archie's. Our meeting is to get information to pass on to people in town. It's a mess. I'll let go.
Okay,
Okay, new business.
I got one more question. I want to borrow the town office again this year, April 1st.
Yeah, that's, that, you know, but April 1st is a long ways off.
Okay, I'll be back.
Just set it up with Leanne.
I will,
The town hall.
yeah. Well, it won't be April, it'll be first Saturday.
Okay, new business, AED defibrillator battery replacement.
Okay, I move we approve the funding for replacing the defibrillator battery.
I second it. All in favor?
Hold on,
Leanne, do you have some?
Do we
Well,
have money for it? It's like $250, and I'm also working with Buckfield Rescue. She's a Hartford resident to see
Yeah.
if she has any grants
Other
or any
volun-
options that might be cheaper. Do you still want to spend money from somewhere and?
well, it seems to me that we, you know, I talked to Heather a little while ago about
Yeah.
doing another class for us on
Who would a grant?
yeah, I'm trying to think of the word for, you know, resuscitating folks, yeah.
AED.
That would come under that CEBE too, wouldn't it?
The
Would it?
CD,
Grant?
CD grant.
Mm.
Dan LaRochelle's the one who
Who pointed-
researched and
Yeah.
found out it was the actual main battery, not the little one I was buying, the 9 volt.
So that the main batteries, the piece
Yeah.
that needs to be.
And I don't know if we should replace the whole machine because we got it. in-
So Dan was saying the other night, I saw him at planning board meeting, Dan was saying the other night that, yes, that's $250, that we might be better off to
Get the whole-
actually get another unit that
Updated.
is updated to one that plugs in so it stays charged up
Yeah.
instead of being a self-contained unit. That kind is, you know, that kind is, you know, we're just gonna need to buy a new battery every now and again. And how many times has it been used since we had originally?
That I know of, never.
Never.
But
The only
it
time we
only
ever
takes
need,
once.
the only time we ever needed one of those was
Bob.
probably the time when Bob Calloway keeled over. Oh, my God. So there's at least some of us who remember that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Hope
But,
McCabe was on the board, and didn't she jump into action
Hmm.
because she was she was on the rescue? Oh.
So I don't know if
God.
you want to wait till we hear back from Heather. Maybe she knows of
Yeah,
or the
maybe,
Yeah.
grant or.
is it safe for us to table it? Are we not acting responsibly if somebody has a heart attack?
Hmm,
Where is the defibrillator? It's in this building or?
It
that building?
hangs on the wall in the
Yeah.
town office. Which is possibly a lot less useful than if
We
it was
could-
over here. I don't know, but in any case,
We could probably
you know,
do CPR until Buckfield gets here.
CPR, that's what I was looking for, the word, because Heather Bowling came and taught, taught a CPR course right here one time. And taught us about the use of that defibrillator device, which was obtained through a grant originally. But I think we need to have one that is a little bit,
More up to date.
yeah, one that we will stay plugged in and stay charged up.
okay. You guys want to keep it down a little bit?
I mean, it was as best we can, but.
Hmm. Newsletter deadline, January
Right up.
15th.
Okay, so what we have to do is approve this select board.
Right.
minutes. Everybody had their opportunity to read this?
I have a few changes.
I made some changes too. Oh,
Okay,
man, so it's all torn up. Okay, so what I wrote was, I said, this includes the volunteer, the board and all the volunteers and all the committees. This last summer, we finished up with the road bond work. Not just with road bond.
Oh, yeah, okay, with the. road
And
bond
I said,
work.
we are finally getting there with our roads. They're looking good. Northeast Paving, Bim and his crew have done a wonderful job. A big thank you to all of them. The board is working with Claire McGlinchey from CB
Okay.
on a community resilience grant
Mhm.
in the amount of up to $50,000 for such items as culverts, lighting, heat pumps, etc. And I don't know, Lenny, when is the date that the newsletter will be put together?
February 2nd.
February 2nd.
I would appreciate a typed copy.
Yep,
emailed to me.
Okay,
I have it on the computer already, so I can make the changes.
okay. So I was.
Thank you.
Put a parentheses here about public hearing because it's gonna come out too late for the public hearing. I guess I understand that's gonna be on February 1. Is that true?
The next one, yeah.
Okay, wasn't sure if that was true. The other thing is, where it says for the infrastructure grant, with the federal government, I'm gonna change that to the word from the federal government.
mhm,
That's,
right.
those are my changes. And your changes are?
So I have some grammatical things, you've got some prepositional phrases that are missing commas, which if Leanne emails this to me, I can just put them in and mail it back.
I did, I already did. You didn't
Oh,
get it?
Well, I haven't been in my email yet.
You haven't been-
I had to get approval first before I make changes. So, and then like you have some new paragraphs that I just think there should be some spaces in and then, I added a couple of words like Lee found a couple and there's a couple of tos and froms that are missing but I'm happy to grab it, put the stuff in and send it right back to you.
No, I didn't, I'm actually looking now. I don't see.
No, Sue had
No, I
asked
answered.
me
Oh,
to
see,
send it
that's
to
because
her
I'm representing you.
tonight,
Okay,
so. If you know all the changes that are to be made, why don't you make them and just send them right to Lenny,
I can do that,
if it's approved?
yeah.
and with the changes, yeah.
Yeah, and I did email it to you this afternoon.
Lenny, can I make those changes and send it to you tomorrow?
You want to include
I was looking at something else, sorry. Yes, absolutely.
the public hearing part?
Susan, if you don't have to do it tonight, Saturday will be fine.
Okay,
Okay, so here are my changes. You can take that if you want and just incorporate. You get to have my. You get to have my-
Won't add anything to it?
Just Have my scribbling as well.
So you guys won't add anything to it?
that was good.
No,
Thank you for putting it together.
I'm sure we can think of something to add to it, but let's not say we did.
So do you want to make somebody?
Make a motion that we accept this letter, for the
Accept this
newsletter.
letter with the changes
Changes.
as will be incorporated by Susan. Thank you for that.
I second it. All in favor?
Wait, who seconded?
I did.
No, you made the motion.
Yeah, okay, you guys want to
Then I seconded it.
all right. All in favor? Good.
Second your own
I
motions.
know.
No, but you keep trying to get
I
rid of
know
it,
it.
don't you?
You guys are too slow.
She's
Well,
I was just looking at the chat and Sarah had requested to say something. She didn't know how to raise her hand. I don't know if she still does or.
Is she still there?
I didn't hear her speak up either.
I
Yes.
told her how to do it,
Okay.
Kathy.
You have a question, Sarah? Guess not.
Let's not go backwards.
Okay,
Seriously, it's almost 9:30.
appointments and resignations.
I'd like to move to deem,
Joe
no,
Leclerc.
no, I would like to move, first of all, to deem that Paula.
Oh, you already did that, didn't you?
You
Oh, I
know,
thought
who's
we had
gonna
to-
wait?
Okay, so then maybe we only have to do our appointment now. Because that was a cemetery committee resignation. I'd like to appoint Joel Leclerc to the cemetery committee.
I second it.
And I think that if I'm not mistaken, that would be to replace Paula, which would mean that he would only be there until the end of June. But nonetheless, he can certainly continue on thereafter. I
So
guess,
Kathy's,
if he wants to,
All in favor? I seconded it.
pardon me. So is there training to be done?
no, Didn't have any comments except for that MMA packet, which there's one page I didn't copy because it was large.
Hmm.
Can you guys, just I don't know if you went over the mowing bid package, but can you just review it before I advertise it?
Okay.
Make sure.
I have a quick question too. You probably should have gone to open session. I received an email asking about the Maine Townsman magazine. Evidently, it's going up to $10 per subscription. I mean, I've really been unaware of the cost of it, but
I think it's included in the dues, 'cause I've never gotten a bill that I remember.
yeah, it's a little bit like the Hannaford magazine, that they say it costs $2 or something, and then they always give it to you for free if you want it. But in any case, it's asking, the question was whether we want as many copies as we have
I
been
already
getting.
answered them.
And what did you say?
I said the same.
Say? Okay, it
If-
seems to me that we get more copies than we need of most times. I don't know.
Most people just throw it in the trash.
Well, exactly. So what's the point of getting them?
I keep mine, Barbara wants hers.
Yeah, I mean,
guys
I keep mine too.
You guys should get
I've got
them.
I've got a stack of them that's about this tall, except for
She
the
gave a
one,
bunch to me.
except for ones I gave to her, it was because I thought she might want to look at it before she jumped into this with work. Did you read any of them?
I did. Which I found very interesting. I read the most recent one too.
There you go. Oh, geez.
You don't have to do it right now, but
This
before we
is-
put it out.
This is
to bid,
good, this is good. I'd like to see the morning argument on feature isn't like optional or separate,
Thanks for coming, you guys.
separate bid. Yeah, no, thank you. You're doing a great job with the cemetery committee. So who's the dark haired girl that was with us? Is that the
Their
daughter? Their daughter. I mean, I assume so, but then how would you know?
Their daughter.
I've got a Three Musketeers bar here. If there's only two
Yeah.
Musketeers, in it, I'm suing.
Okay.
What's he talking about? What's he talking about?
Three Musketeer bar.
What's-
You eat it.
I am.
Adjourn 9:25. Good night, you guys.
So regarding this mowing bid, maybe at the